Right, welcome back to another lesson of Arduino microcontroller. Today we are going to be mixing the DHT with the LCD to make a very functional piece of equipment. Essentially what we're going to be doing is having the DHT sensor read both the temperature and humidity and print that information out onto the LCD, so then we could use this as essentially a mobile weather station if we really want to check the humidity and temperature in certain areas. It's pretty cool, actually, on how it works. So, let's get started. Hopefully you have created a new sketch. I have mine here labeled as DHT with LCD. And it's an important side note here. You really should be labeling all of these sketches that we're making. Otherwise, they display as like sketch underscore and then the date. That's not useful for you at all. Instead, you really should label them, and then you can go back to them and work with them from there. So it's a good reference and a good habit to start. So I went ahead on line 4, hit enter a few times just to make room, and like we've done with both the LCD and the DHT, we need to include those libraries. Now we know in our Arduino editor that we have both of them because we have enabled both of them in the past with different lessons. To get started, let's go ahead and add our liquid crystal library. So we do that hashtag and go include, and then start caret. And we'll go liquid crystal.h. And make sure you have your end caret there. Just making sure I spelled that correctly. I've been struggling with the word liquid crystal today. Next, we will include the DHT library. So include, start caret, dht.h and caret. And there we go. Now we need to initialize both the DHT sensor and the liquid crystal. So we'll start with the liquid crystal. So we'll do liquid crystal, LCD, start parentheses, and then we need to label which pins they are. So that's going to be 12, 11, 5, 4, 3, and 2. Make sure you end parentheses and use your semicolon. Also make sure you have commas in between all of those numbers. Next, we're going to need to create an integer for our DHT sensor to work. So we're just going to call this integer, and we'll just set it up as, in my case, I'm looking at a green wire. I'm going to call it green wire. We'll call it green pin. Integer green pin. And we're going to set that to our analog pin of A0. That is A0. Okay? And now we need to enable the DHT sensor, and we can do that by going DHT sensor. That's an easy way to enable the DHT sensor. All right. Next, let's go void setup. And in our void setup, we need to start the LCD, so we go lcd.begin. And remember, we have to set the display matrix. It's a 16:2 LCD. And make sure you add your semicolon, and we're good there. Now let's jump into our void loop, our actual program. We want to start off with a delay command, so we want to set it to wait 1 second. Start in parenthesis, semicolon, and then we want to have it read our DHT sensor. So we're going to use the command called sensor.read11, and we're going to set that to what we called our green pin. Make sure that your integer is matching up how you wrote it up above, making sure mine is, and semicolon. Next, we want to clear the LCD display, so we'll use lcd.clear, start parenthesis, end parenthesis, semicolon. Then we're going to want to set our cursor, so we'll do lcd.setCursor, and we want to set that to a location of 0, 0. Okay, next we'll go lcd.print. And we want it to print out the humidity. So remember, when we have something print out on an LCD display, we have to put it in quotations. And we'll go humidity equals space. And then I will do a end quotation mark, end parenthesis, semicolon. Next, we'll do LCD dot print, and it is going to print our sensor's humidity, sensor dot humidity, like that. Now we want it to set the cursor on the next line, or the second bottom line for our LCD display. So we'll have to set the cursor there. So we go LCD.set cursor, and we are going to set that to a position of 0, 1. Okay. Next we'll do LCD.print, and we're going to want it to print out our temperature for us. So we will go LCD print, and because temperature is a long word and forces it to go off the screen a little bit, we'll just call it temp equals space into quotation into parentheses semicolon, and then we'll have it print the actual temperature reading from the sensor. So we'll go LCD.print, and then start parentheses sensor.temperature. Okay, in parentheses semicolon. And that is it. It's actually a lot easier than the first DHT library was, or lesson we did, because for that we were needing it to communicate with the computer and then print all of that stuff out. Whereas this, we're just having it talk, the DHT library talk to the LCD library and running all of those commands. Makes it a lot faster. It also helps too that we check our spelling. Make sure everything is correct. My temperature was not written correctly, so I have temperature. There we go. That's correct. Humidity, temp, everything is looking good. Remember that if you have an issue, make sure you check your semicolons, curly brackets, and your parentheses. Let's verify this, so I'm going to just select my board here, and I'm going to verify. And we can see that it has been verified. Now you might get this little notification here. It's only saying that it might not run on the board. That's a possibility depending on the board. If we were to go with something else, we'll go with just straight Arduino Uno. Let me find that. Let's go here. I'll verify that one just to make sure. Yep, so just a straight Arduino Uno has no problem because it has a different chip architecture versus the new Genuinos. It should work. If it doesn't, we can go back and find out a different workaround for it. That's part of the fun of actually working with Arduinos. When stuff doesn't work, you have to problem solve it. All right, if you had any questions on this lesson, please, if you're watching on YouTube, leave those questions in the comment section. If you're watching this on Classroom, in the elective itself, leave those questions right on the, comment section there, and you can always email me. And hey, as always, thanks for watching.